I got the motorcycle chain we're going to be shortening up here, checking it. And here's my fearless ace assistant mechanic, Onyx the biker cat. You're going to be Onyx the biker cat, huh? You got Boots the Confederate cat, we got Onyx the biker cat. Anyway, when you look at these trailing links, you see that trailing link right there? That's the master link. You got to make sure the open end is like the tail, basically. Think of it as a fish swimming, and the open end is the tail, because you want the closed end facing the direction of the chain, and whichever the chain goes, right? Whichever direction the chain goes. So you got that loop like this. So the chain's going this way on the bottom and that way on the top. Now the other thing is, you don't ever pull the chain off all the way if you are changing the chain. You want to disconnect the master link, hook the new chain up to that link, and pull it through there, or else you're going to be taking, because it's like a bitch and a half trying to get it through there. If you pull the whole chain out, you have a hard time threading it through that sprocket in there. You might wind up taking off the cover, for crying out loud. That's how much of a pain in the ass it is. You could do it, but it's a pain in the ass. So don't ever pull the chain all the way out. If you're going to put a new one on, just disconnect that master link and hook the new chain to the end of that, and then pull it through, then reattach it. Now, since I changed to a 46 tooth sprocket in the back, might have to shorten the chain a little bit. So that's why I didn't really just slap it on right now, because I figured I didn't put it on over the sprocket when I installed the wheel, because I figured I got to take a couple links out of it. This chain, when you have a stock, is an 89 Sportster Evo. Originally they had a 21 tooth up front and a 48 up back. So the bigger you go in the front, the more higher highway gearing you have, lower revs on the highway. I went to a 23 in the front versus a 21. So the stock chain is a 530 O-ring chain. It's 106 links with the 21 tooth up there and a 48 back here. When I went to a 23 tooth up there, actually I had to go to 110 links. So now this side is dropped a little bit, smaller, so it's even more highway. If you go smaller in the back, it's more highway. It's the smallest it goes, unless you get a custom sprocket or something. I might have to go take 2 links out of it. I'm not sure. We'll see how much it is, but might be 108 links. So we'll get this thing out of here, show you how to get it out. Now, how you want to remove this master link here is, you don't want to pry under it. You might do that a little bit once you get it loosened up, but you want to take this like this, put this on that, behind that right there, that stud right there, and push on the edge, right on the edge there, to slide it this way. You don't want to pry it out. You might have to pry it out a little bit, but you don't want to like distort that link that much. Again, if the chain direction is going this way, that's how that link faces. That's how that little joiner faces. So we'll take this out, put it on a wheel, and probably going to have to shorten it up a little bit. After that, you take that little plate off. You can pry it off with a screwdriver, but it's a little easier to use the chain brake tool to get it out. So then you can take this out. You can see it just slides. That's your master link right there. Okay, that's your master link. So we're going to feed the chain up through the sprocket up here, and feed it up through here, and we probably bring, I don't know, I got a lot more adjustment in this thing yet, so we'll see if I can maybe bring it forward, and so see how much I can shorten this chain up, because that'll give it a lot more adjustment, as I'm riding. But actually, a chain, when it wears, it gets different spots on it are more stretched than others, and even the sprockets will start wearing unevenly, so you might see a lot more deflection. You should really, when you adjust everything, it should be with a rider, the weight of a rider on it, and also at its tightest point. That's where you check the deflection. Now in the back here you have these adjusters. You notice I put a dot of white paint on there because I only use the breaker bar, which is that, not a ratchet, so I can turn an equal number of turns in each side, and make sure I put some white paint on there so that'll be facing up. So we're going to back this nut off so the wheel can go this way. Now you don't want to turn the wheel because you can pull the chain off the front sprocket. You don't want to do that. But I want to bring this all the way down to here, so that'll make the chain as loose as possible, so we'll see how many links we can take out of it. I think a max of 2 links. Maybe I have to get by with just 1 though, but you know, as long as it has plenty of adjustment, we're okay. Okay, so you can see how much I backed it off. I did 10 turns. Now I can, you know, I did it on each side. That's why I used the breaker bar. So, you know, I'm not using a ratchet. It's not gonna. It's like going in. You know, I started at the 6 o'clock position. I just counted 10 turns. I used the white paint to make sure it's exactly the same. So now I got this bolt loose. I'll hit the tire with a rubber mallet. Just bring it up. Take up that slack. Take a look at the chain, and we'll see where we're at. Well, I'm slid all the way forward on the adjuster, so that's as far as I can go. And I looked at the chain. It looks like I can knock out this pin, and then I can put the master link between here and here. So I got the master link in here. It'll go, instead of in this hole, this will get knocked down. It'll look like this, and it'll go from here to there. There's also a little O-rings in here, this O-ring chain. So there's a O-ring already installed right here. And when you knock this out, I don't know if, you know, I'm not sure if the O-ring is going to fall out. If it does, make sure you put the O-ring back in. And of course, this, you know, the bottom of the chain is going that way. The top of the chain is going this way. So I'm installing it on the bottom actually. So, you know, the direction's this way. So that's the way this goes, okay? This goes towards the trailing end of the chain, the open end. How this works is there's a little you see that, you open it up like this, you see the handle, you open it up like that, that wraps around a chain. You can see that little point in there. You turn the handle, this handle right here, and that point presses out the pin. So, and you know, there's different size chain brake tools. They got them for like bicycles and stuff, and you know, basically you put it around here, and you line that up. You line that up. I'm not going to do it on camera because I'm holding the camera. You just turn this, and it pushes out that pin. But then you got to, you know, make sure you put the O-ring back in and stuff. And I'll be tightening up these adjusters equal turns. That's why I put the paint on there too, just to make sure. And that's why I'm using the breaker bar. And after that's done, well, you got to adjust the chain with some weight on the bike, so I have to take it off the jack stands and stuff. Tighten this up to 65 foot-pounds. And you go, if it doesn't line up to the cotter pin, which is this cotter pin here, you go to the next, just wherever it lines up to, 60 to 65 foot-pounds. As soon as it lines up, that's where you stop. You don't back it off. You don't back it off. You don't put it on Loctite or nothing because it's got a cotter pin in it. So we'll take this out. Just a matter of turning this. I'm going to have to do this with 2 hands because I have to make sure that's all lined up and stuff. Push that pin. It's not that hard. There's different sides. This one goes up to, I think, a 530 chain. I've used this for quite some time. This is a new one because I lost my old one, but I've used it a bunch of times. It works pretty good. I don't have the thing to install the rivets, so I'm not going to make sure. I'm not going to take off too much chain. I already measured it. Okay, so the master link is on there. This chain is a high quality. It's supposed to be one of the highest quality Japanese chains make. It's a 530 O-ring chain. It's got the O-rings in it. Now, when you put this on, okay, so it's going in a direction. See, it goes that way, right? Okay, this goes that way, so that's the tail. If it's down on the bottom, you know, it's going that way, so it goes that way on the bottom, so the tail faces the other way. You want to squeeze this together with some channel locks to press this, plate on here, right here, underneath your, underneath the master link, right? So, retaining clip, whatever it is, the master retaining clip, so you can squeeze it on there. You want to, it's like you got to squeeze it on there a little bit because you got the O-rings you're putting on there too. And also you want to make sure your master link fits on there tight. You might want to squeeze this. It's like kind of like a, malleable steel. It's not like real. You don't want to turn it. I squeeze this together just a little bit. You might want to replace this, but I squeeze these two together just a little bit so it's tight, fits in there nice and tight, and make sure it actually fits in that notch. Down there's a notch in that pin. Now, I actually broke that tool. It started cracking. I don't think that's the same tool. It looks like the same tool I had years ago. I got to find where mine is. But I broke the chains. I mean, I've broke the links on the chains many times with the tool. This one looks the same, but I don't think it's the same. It freaking broke. So what I wound up doing was I took the old Dremel, right there, that thing, the Dremel, and ground off the pin. And I still used the tool. I knew it was cracked. It was getting ready to break all the way, and I pushed it out, so still got it on there. Then I more or less adjusted this pretty good. All I have to do is take the bike off the jack stands and put some weight on it and check the chain that way. So I'll do that tomorrow, but basically I'm done with it. So I tighten up this bolt a little bit. It's not the spec, it's 60 to 65, and then you go to the next where it lines up with the cotter pin. You put the cotter pin. That's for this bike. It's an 89 Sportster. Different bikes are different. And you want to make sure that this is seated all the way. Like there's a, like this, like there's a, a ring in here, whatever you want to call it. It's like this. And that's attached to this. It's all one piece. So the axle goes through that ring. That's what's, that's what's pulling back the axle, right? But you can have these on here loose. You want to tap this forward, and what I tap it forward with is a piece of wood on here with a rubber mallet, or just a piece of wood and a hammer on the wood, not hammer on this. So you tap it forward on each side to make sure that these are nice and tight in there. The other thing is, you got a little, see that little spot there? That's for, like, I guess it's draining water or something. If there's water inside the swing arm or something, I don't know if the water gets in here, because it would get in here, right? So you don't want this to collect water in the swing arm and rust it out from the inside. So that's why this little notch faces to the bottom. So as you're riding, the water will come out of, if there's any water that gets in the swing arm, because it can get in here, right here, So that's how it gets out of there. So O-ring chains aren't supposed to be, need to be, what do you call it, lubed or anything like that, but actually throw some oil on it. If you put chain lube on it, where you want to put it is right down there. You spray it right over here as you're turning the wheel. Spray it over there, away from the tire, like down in there. Down in there. Away from the tire. This way you don't get it on the tire, you don't get it all over the bike. You want, maybe more right in there. So, it's away from the tire and you're spraying down. You don't want to spray, in other words, you're spraying down and on the inside of the chain. That's the right way to lube it. Yeah, and I did check my tire pressure again, because it's probably, 10 hours later or something like that. Last time I checked it was 39.5 pounds. It's 39.5 pounds, so apparently that bead sealer worked pretty good. I also ordered some of that ride-on, what do you call that stuff, ride-on, I don't know, tire sealant, specifically for motorcycles. It's like permanent. I saw rave reviews both on Amazon and JP Cycles. Very few detractors. I'll probably put that in there. And when I put it in, I think I'm gonna make sure I ride with it right away, because this way it'll get dispersed. Because a couple people had complaints about it, that it caused their wheels to be out of balance, but that might have been because maybe they put it in there and let the bike sit a long time or something. Maybe that's the problem, who knows. So, but that's kind of an option. I ordered the stuff, so, but the tires on here, it's good to go. And also, like, if you want to check these, you want to check them, see how there's some movement in here. That means I gotta tap this, the bolt right here with a piece of wood on there and move it forward a little bit. But I'll be doing this stuff tomorrow. You don't want this like this. You want this where you're up against there all the way. And again, you know, it's pretty good having the white paint on there. And you know, you can use a regular open wrench, but it is easier to use that breaker bar like that, because, you know, if you're using a ratchet, you can get screwed up and think, did I turn it a quarter turn? If you're using a breaker bar and you leave it on the adjusting nut, you know you did it a quarter turn, a half turn, a full turn, or how many turns you did. Make sure they're even on both sides, because you want this, you want the alignment of the rear wheel, you know, tracking true with the front wheel. So tomorrow I'll do the front wheel, which is not going to be that bad to do. The rear wheel is not that hard to change a tire and just increase the wheel bearings. It is a pain in the ass when you're breaking the chain, shortening the chain. You know, it's just another step. And also, you know, I put the sprocket on there too. So, but this puppy should roll down the highway pretty good with this gearing now. And we'll see how that works out. Well, there's little Onyx the biker cat eating his food. And I did adjust this chain a little more. Just tighten, you know, I got it's with the weight off the bike, I believe it's supposed to be a little tight. And then, like, in other words, because the arm is pulled down, so it's a little longer. So when it goes up, you know, and it gets more in the middle, it's a little shorter. So when I put the weight on the bike, it might be cool. So that's all under nice and solid too. It's not loose or nothing. So we'll see. It might be. I might have it right. So, but then if maybe a quarter turn, third of a turn, or whatever looser, maybe that's about it. It's very close. So I'll get the rest of it tomorrow. Again, you know, you want to make sure these adjusters are not, if you know, try to wiggle them, don't make sure they're not loose or nothing like that. But you want to have your weight on a bike, and you check your chain and measure the deflection then, and also measure the deflection at the tightest point. But this got a new sprocket, fairly new sprocket on the trans, and also the chain is fairly new, so I'm not going to have any tight and weak, you know, tight and loose spots, so it should be cool.